Welcome to this week's episode of So It's Not Just Me. I'm your host, Joanna, and today we're doing something different. For anyone who's been here for a while, this is our birthday episode. We've been recording now, or I've been recording for a whole year, which is something I never thought we'd get to. So I decided to hand the reins over to Stacey and let her take over, and we're going to do a bit of a flip the switch episode. So Stacey, over to you.
Super excited. So we're going to do some Ask the Host, which I'm really, really loving because it means that we get to know more about Joanna and what she's about and who she's about. And I know we're learning as we're going along, but it just makes it a little bit more fun to have some specifics. So first of all, let's talk about what does a day in the life of Joanna Walkerwood look like?
Oof. Right now, sweaty and gross because it is ridiculously warm over here. Um, Anyone who doesn't know, I do have a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 right now. I work in accounting and HR. I'm actually an accounting specialist and deal with a lot of banking related issues for homeowners associations. I know we don't really have many of those kind of setups, or at least I wasn't aware of many back in England. Um, but that's what I do over here. I work in accounting, so I get up in the morning nice and early. Luckily, my office is a 3-minute drive from my apartment, which is great.
That
So I
would be
can
a
just
dream. That's a
it's
dream.
it is amazing. It's almost as good as working from home, almost. So I'll stumble out of bed and go to work, be there for 9 to 5, 8 to 5, come home. Usually dinner. We take it in turns between Kyle and I to do dinner. Um, and then I pretty much get straight on with doing things for the podcast. Um, it's like having a second job that you don't get paid for. And I'll come home and I'll look for topics that I could talk about in the future. I look for um, things that are coming up event wise that I could maybe do social media posts about and just try and learn more. Um, Especially with coming to do the podcast, I'll listen to a lot of podcasts to try and get hints and tips and learn. I'm actually looking for a new online course to see how to edit better because at the minute, I still use very basic software. So I usually do that until maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night. Jump in the shower, read a book for an hour or so, and fall asleep. Rinse, repeat again the next day.
I mean, you've obviously got a lot on your plate. How do you find it balancing working life, married life, the podcast, and still actually having time for you for things like self-care, date nights?
Uh, it is something that I struggle with at the minute. I think I've told you before that, you know, when I first started the podcast, I was very adamant that Kyle and I have date night once a week or once a month. We go away, and once a quarter we do something a little bit bigger, and we do really try and do that. But the more that I'm getting involved with the podcast and really enjoying doing it more, because I didn't even think I'd last this long. I'm not going to lie. Um, my time is very, very limited to everything else that we do. So we do kind of really take the time now um, to spend time together. It is difficult, really difficult, but he understands how committed I am to doing this, and he sees the bigger picture of the podcast and what I'm trying to do with it, which is great, and he supports me 100%. Um, what we have really done is made sure that instead of me filming 3, 4, sometimes 5 episodes over 2 or 3 day weekends, we're now limiting it to once a weekend. Because not
Yeah.
just recording the podcast, you then, once you record, if you record for an hour, it can take you maybe 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours to then edit and go through and make sure you're happy with it before you actually upload it, which, to be fair, listening to some of them that I edit, you wouldn't know that I spend 3 hours sometimes editing it, but I genuinely do. So, it's time consuming. So we're doing a lot right now to make sure that I'm limiting, because I get stressed quite easily, and I've learned that I need to take a step back from things, even if it's something that I love. So recently we went to Kansas City for a wedding, and we made sure that while I was there, we spent at least one of the days there, just me and him, which was wonderful. We've just come back from Miami. We spent a weekend there together. We have another trip in 3 weeks, a long weekend in Orlando. We have a long weekend booked to go to Washington, D.C. So we're doing, things once every couple of months now to make sure we have that quality time. Um, Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think it's just finding that balance, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
you guys seem to be getting it right in the sense that you still seem to be putting a lot into your marriage and each other and still making a success out of what you're doing, both at work and obviously with the podcast as well. And I think it's something to be really proud of to get that balance, even though it doesn't always feel like it. I think it's
Even
some
if we sometimes we'll just make sure we spend time cooking together.
yeah,
Like he loves cooking, I love baking, but together we will make meals, we'll do things together like that. This evening we're actually going to down, and we haven't done this for a while, but we're going to sit and watch a movie together. We're going to watch Lord of the Rings. It's his turn to choose, so we're going to watch Lord of the Rings tonight and just relax and do nothing while we do that. That's actually leading up to a trip that we have planned, which is Lord of the Rings themed. That's right, we are super
love
nerds.
that. I love that.
But we really do, and with that as well, I know that I don't speak to my family and friends as much as I'd like to, but I am really trying to make an effort more to keep in touch with, especially people back in England.
Yeah.
Um, it's a struggle, especially when I am recording and working the 8 to 5 in the week. So I am trying. I'm getting there. It's just this period of time is a little bit more difficult when I'm trying to throw everything into the podcast.
I mean, obviously, for the majority of people that listen to your podcast, they'll already be aware that you moved from the UK to the USA. How does your life differ over there to how it was over here?
Oh, um, that's it's quite difficult to answer. I not that I didn't love my life back over. Everyone knows that I am a huge Doncaster girl. Love Doncaster more than anything. But my life here is so much better than it was there. Um, I feel like I was stuck in England. I was stuck in a routine that I couldn't get out of. Um, and being here, I feel like I am like the real me. Like I don't care as much anymore. Not that I don't care. I'm
Yeah,
using the wrong words. I don't. Okay, so it's not that I don't care about the people. It's that I don't care about what people think of me anymore.
yeah,
I Nobody knows me here, so I'm open to do what I want when I want. If I want to try something and I fail, it doesn't matter because nobody's going to be judging me, or even if they're not, I think they're judging me. But
yeah.
that doesn't happen here because nobody knows me. So
It's
it's like a
like a
starting
brand new
point.
you, isn't it? Yeah, like a brand new
Yeah.
you, a brand new start. And do you feel like that you've adjusted to that change quite easily?
Um. When I first came over here, I really struggled because anyone who doesn't know how immigration works over here, it's hard. It's really hard. So when I first came over, it was a whole just over a year, about 15, 16 months from me getting here to me being even able to drive. I couldn't drive over here. So that was a big adjustment because I couldn't be independent. I was very reliant on other people. So once I was able to start to drive and get a job and go out and do my own thing, or my whatever me and Kyle were doing, then it got easier. Then I adjusted really, really quickly. Like sometimes I'll still have a day where I'm wishing I was back in Doncaster and I
Yeah.
miss things, but overall, I think I've adjusted pretty well too. Other than the heat, I cannot stand the heat, but other than that, I think I've adjusted pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, and to be honest with you, I would, obviously we used to speak to each other on a regular basis when you first moved over, and I do remember the struggles that you were having with, especially with the independence, because you were so independent over here, like, and you had so
Yeah.
much flexibility to be able to just go out and do whatever you wanted. I do remember that being a really challenging part of your journey. But at the same time, I also feel like now you've been like a bit of a butterfly. It's been a bit of a butterfly effect. Like you've been sort of like trapped in that bit of a cocoon, and now you're spreading your wings and you're everywhere. Like and I'll go on social media. I'm like, oh, Joe's somewhere different this weekend, and it's like I love to see it. I love to see it.
Yeah,
So
I've made new friends and things, which has been nice, and a lot of my friends, um, like I do have a couple of friends in state,
mhm,
but our state is so big that I just happened to bump into a friend today while I was down in St. We had to go down to St. Petersburg for something, which is about 40 minutes away. And I just happened to bump into her. She lives in St. Petersburg. So we just happened to bump into each other at the same place, which was really nice. And I have a friend who lives very close, but the rest of my friends here don't live in our state. So unless they're coming down or we're taking a plane somewhere, we don't see them.
yeah,
So we have to go to these new places so that we can
yeah.
catch up with friends.
And do you feel that moving has actually given you more opportunities to pursue something you love, like the podcast?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't think I would have done it back in England. Again, because of this whole the perception that I had. It's not something that ever anyone has said to me, but it's just this perception that I've had that people are judging me when I know they're not. Um,
Yeah,
and I think I don't know if you can ever remember, but I had like groups of people that I used to always coach and help and support. Like I've always been everyone's cheerleader, but on a
yeah,
very, very low level, like personal level. And this is like probably the first time that I'm doing something a bit more public and being a bit more out there with how I want things to be, and you know, actually being able to um get my support out there for people,
yeah.
if that makes
And
sense.
no, it makes total sense. I mean, you are a very kind and generous person, and I think that you giving is just part of you naturally. And I think, especially when you look at the topics that you talk about, like mental health and well-being and acceptance, these have obviously played a big part in the majority of the episodes that you've
Yeah.
recorded over the last 12 months. Do you think that this has actually benefited you being able to be open and honest about some of these topics?
Yeah, I do. Um, I think that I am a person who has struggled a lot with my mental health from time to time. Um, I've lost my train of thought there. Um, I feel like because I'm able to talk to people, I'm able to really get out there more and look at myself and see what I'm doing in myself to make things better. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like
I
really
mean,
like work on my head.
yeah, yeah. Because I think if you hadn't have been working on yourself, would you have really been able to talk about some of the topics that you talked about? Like,
No.
have would you have been able to open up about your own struggles when other people are talking about theirs?
No, I don't think I would. And like I didn't realize how serious some of my struggles were.
Yeah,
I genuinely thought that it was just silly little things, but the more I think about them, the more again, this is why I made the podcast. I thought that this silly little thing was just something to brush to the side, but
yeah,
it's really not a lot of the times. And it's very much being able to talk about them. The amount of people that have come up to me and said, "Oh, actually, I felt the same way,"
yeah.
is wonderful.
Honestly, I think, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously quite open at sharing, and we've done quite a few slots now together. And the amount of people that actually talk to me about the things that we've talked about, and they're like, "Oh my God, like that really, that really resonated with me," or "I found that really interesting, and I want to, I want to explore that a bit more, and I've looked into more depth in that." And as well, because like the topics that we've talked about have just been like off the cuff most of the time. It's not been anything that has been, something specific that I've wanted to talk about. It's usually something you suggested, and I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And I think it's opened my eyes up a lot more as well. And I think it's very clear that you're achieving a goal of a safe space for people to be themselves and to see that they are truly not alone. I mean, what would you say has been your best achievement so far, whether it be big or small with the podcast?
I think um the day that I got 100 views, 100 views is nothing to these big podcasters. You know, that's absolutely nothing to a lot of people. To me, that's a huge deal. Um, the My biggest achievement probably isn't actually getting to the 100 views. It's actually when people say yes,
Yeah,
and at the end of the episode, when they say whether it's on camera or off camera, I would love to come back.
yeah,
That to me is my job is done. Not
absolutely.
done, but my job is doing something right. You know, I have made this person feel comfortable. This person feels safe. This
Hmm.
person want to come back and talk to me again. Which again, I didn't think anybody would want to come and talk to me, but the amount of different people that have come to talk to me, and you know, some of the people haven't been on the episodes. They've just talked to me and said, "Hey, this is my story. If you want to do an episode about it, here's the details, but I'm not ready to come
Yeah,
out there yet."
yeah.
That's where a lot of my topics come from.
Yeah, and do you know
Um,
what? I love that. I love that because that's still them being able to express like their feelings, and that's a conversation that they're having with you, and they feel safe to have with you, even though they're not safe to put it out in the world yet. It's allowing them to feel that that's okay.
yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. You know, people like Lincoln.
Yeah,
That was a very very big thing for Lincoln to come on an episode with me and
absolutely.
explain
And I
the
am so
situation.
proud of him. I am so
Yeah,
proud of him.
and it's I have nothing against any person in the world. Anyone who wants to come and talk to me, I would love them to come and talk to me. I like it more so when it's something that I know nothing about
Yeah,
because I like to learn, and I like to learn what I can do to support and what I can do to help. And if I can do anything at all to help somebody, then I feel like I'm doing something right. And that's what the podcast is about. It's about making this safe space and helping other people, and for people to come and be brave and see that they can do it.
yeah. And I think, sometimes I think some of the topics as well, they are, they can be quite controversial, and it can be things that people aren't always comfortable hearing or talking about. And I think it's breaking down those barriers that, we can talk about books one week and talk about body shaming another week, and we can talk about, extreme topics, things like PTSD, and then we can then be talking about what we do out in the world that makes us feel better, like walking in nature. And I think it's
Yeah.
that's such an amazing balance, that it's not just a strict one stop shop, and I
Yeah.
think that's what makes it so good.
If you look at the different episodes that I've done, so we started with Sober Curious. I knew nothing about Sober Curious. I am not sober curious. I'd love a good drink, but you know, if that's what somebody needs to do or wants to do, that's great. That's giving education to other people.
I actually
Kelsey, coming to talk.
re-listened to that episode the other day because I felt like I needed some sobriety in my life. So
But
thank you,
that's what it's
Carly.
there for. That is what it's there for. People like Kelsey coming to talk about PMS. You
Yeah,
know, we're grown adults. We're all almost 40, but some of the things that Kelsey goes through, I didn't know that that's a side effect of PMS. I didn't know
yeah,
that's something that you have to deal with. And as her partner, Tom didn't know this was what he was
no.
getting himself in for until she explained it to him. And it's very, very difficult. And, you know, I joke with her because she's my sister basically, and I can. And I say, oh, is it Hulk Smash week? You know, because we
I
make it
love that.
light-hearted. Hulk
Yeah.
Smash, that's what mood she's in. But talking about PMS, people don't talk about it.
No, and do you know
Um,
what? I think that it's actually starting to get highlighted much more now. And it's like
yeah,
I'd not really thought about it until you recorded that episode with Kelsey. And then I started seeing more and more about it. And I think is it Vicky Patterson, who was on
yeah,
Geordie Shore, and she
yeah,
suffers really, really badly with is it PMDD?
yeah,
And it's like I remember listening to Kelsey's podcast, and then all of a sudden I was reading bits and bobs, and I've actually done more now for myself, like supplements and like meditation and stuff like that, to try to quell those
Yeah.
raging
Yeah.
moments, because I actually realised that it's not normal. It's not okay to feel like that, and that that I can do something to help it, and I can't just keep ignoring it. So
Yeah.
again, it's just little things like that that I think. If I felt like that, then how many other people have listened to Kelsey's podcast and thought, oh, actually, I do
Yeah.
feel like that, and it is perfectly normal for that to be happening to me, but I can do something to help myself.
Yeah. And this is why I absolutely love like somebody said to me, you need to niche down, you need to have a set
No,
area that you talk about. And I was like,
no,
no, because there's
no,
so many things that if we just sat on an episode on a podcast for a year talking about PMS, who wants to listen to that?
no,
You know,
no.
there's a very small community who would want to listen to that, but we're creating something where it doesn't matter what you are doing, we have got a safe space for you.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm trying to really, really grow, is that it doesn't matter if it's PMS, adoption, immigration, what else have we spoke about recently? Drag,
yeah,
LGBTQ plus, race, sexual and sex, drugs, rock and roll. I don't care. I will
yeah.
talk about pretty much anything because we are creating that safe space to be able to talk about it all.
So, do you think there are any topics that you tend to stay away from, and why?
So, all that being said, yes.
Sorry. Told you I wasn't going to
Yes,
make it
sir.
easy for you.
Oh, so there's two topics that no matter what I won't talk about, um, because it upsets too many people, and this is something that is in my daily life as well, um, and that's politics and religion.
I
You
get that
can't,
completely.
yeah, you cannot make anybody happy if you talk about politics and religion, and that's
No,
not a bad thing. You know, if you're passionate about something, great, fine, whatever. But if my beliefs don't match your beliefs, neither of us will ever be right. Neither of
no,
us will ever have a happy conversation. And we'll both leave the conversation either hating each other or in such a foul mood that that's not what the podcast is about.
no. And I do think, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that especially where you live now, politics and religion is probably a lot more of a stronger subject than in the
Yeah.
UK. I think that you
Yeah.
can probably talk more openly about politics, maybe not so much religion, because I don't think religion plays a massive part in people's lives over here. But I think you can still have a conversation and agree to disagree. Whereas I feel like, and this might be, a bit of misinformation and propaganda, but in America, it feels like it's like, I can't be your friend if you support this politician, or, if you don't believe in God and you don't have these strong feelings about religion, that I don't want you in my circle kind of thing. So I think that I can totally understand why you stay away from those subjects.
We got told recently, okay, so I'm not going to go into too much detail because
Hmm.
it's, again, I don't really talk about
No,
politics or
no,
religion.
that's fine.
However, I do feel comfortable saying this. We got told recently, I don't care who you believe in, as long as you believe in someone, and that was really hard for us
Yeah,
because Kyle and I are both on the same. We don't follow a religion, we don't believe in anything like that, for
yeah.
our own personal reasons. And again, if somebody does, that's great, but it's
Hmm.
not something that I'd do a full episode on.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and we was kind of like, well, we just believe that we're happy. We believe
yeah,
that we don't need to believe in something. If you do great, wonderful, but we just don't. And
yeah.
that was a bit like, oh, okay. And that's
Yeah.
why we don't talk about politics and religion because, you
Those
know,
conversations are always going to happen, aren't they? Let's be honest, if that's
they're-
the conversation.
and if you're not on the same side as that, not well, it is. It's like a sports
It
team. If
is.
you
It
don't
is a
support the
side.
red
It is
side
a
or the blue
side, yeah.
side, and if you support red, you're red all your life. If you support blue, you're blue all your life. No matter what, who's in charge, you're always going to support that color. Um, for us, not supporting either when it comes to religion, when we don't have that, it's very difficult to,
Yeah.
you know, so we just don't talk about it.
Yeah. I think that's the best way forward. I think it just means that everybody is happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that, um, I think I've told you this before. I think I might have even said it on the podcast. Somebody was trying to push me to talk about religion, and I kept saying no and no and no, to the point where I was like, okay, this is why I don't, and this is why
Hmm.
I have this opinion. And I got told, it's okay, when you grow up, you'll understand and then you'll follow XYZ.
Okay. Yeah,
And I'm like,
that is crazy. That is crazy
yeah.
to
And I
me.
just kind of thought, I respect that you follow something that I don't and that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
Why can't you do the same for me? And again,
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to create this safe space of, it doesn't matter what you believe in, it doesn't matter what you think about
Yeah.
XYZ, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you sit on, as long as you are happy, we will support each other and don't force it upon me.
I mean, I think I'm quite a spiritual person, and I do feel like there's more, but I don't feel like everybody needs to have an opinion on it.
No,
But
no.
that's just who
Can
I
we
am.
just
So your dad's obviously had a real impact on your life. Has there been any one piece of advice that he's given you that you resonate with the most?
oh, I don't know, to be honest. Like, all of his advice is always so good.
Yeah,
And I don't think there's any just one thing, because he just knows what to say at the right time. Um, yeah, I he just knows what to say at the right time. I don't
I
think
do
there's
think
ever
he has got a bit of a
one
gift
piece.
when it comes to
He
that. I think
Yeah,
he can read a room very well, and he has got this ability to just make everybody comfortable,
yeah.
and it never feels like he's pushing an opinion.
No, no. He's very good at listening.
Yeah,
So if you say, "Hey, Dad, I want to talk about this. This is my opinion. This is why I want to talk about this. This is what I
yeah,
think," he will tell you the other side as well,
yeah,
but he
yeah.
won't belittle the opinion that you have.
No, he still validates what you're feeling, but shares sort of like what his perspective is.
Yes.
And I think he's always been good. Like he's all from like us being kids. I think he's always been quite diplomatic in that sense that he's always been the calm to everybody's storm. And
Yeah.
I can totally get that. And I think it's probably really hard to choose because he's very good at giving advice for a lot of
And I
things.
think that, being over here, everyone always automatically thinks that, you know, you miss your mum and dad all the time. And I do, I
Yeah,
miss them all the time. But at the same time, they've been the biggest support of me being here, both of them.
yeah.
And, you know, they've never missed my phone call if I've needed them. They've never not been there. And, you know, they're just such a great little partnership to bring me up the way that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have. I'll forever, ever, forever be grateful of everything they've given and done for us.
I think they are such a team as well. Like they
Yeah,
really are. Like the the way that they work together. Like whenever we do like we've done an event or even just going up there with the kids and stuff like that. Especially since Cherry's had Claire. Like we often pop up with Delilah when your mum and dad have got Claire, and just seeing how they just adapt to everything.
yeah.
And they
They're just
adapt together.
they're just wonderful people. They are just
Yeah,
couple goals. They are
yeah.
absolute life goals.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt.
They,
And I
they
think you can aspire to if your marriage is even 10% of what they've got, then you're doing
yeah.
well.
The other person who is quite inspirational to me, and it's not somebody that anyone would really think of unless you heard the story why, is Keenan, who I did the episode
Yes,
with recently.
yes,
Well, a few months back now. And I told Keenan on that episode how inspirational he was to me. And um, there's a bigger reason for it. You know, he is from the local village. He's from close by. He had a goal. He set his mind to it. He did it. He went through the struggles of doing what he did, and he's very, very successful, and he's never
Yeah.
forgot where he's come from. He's so humble. He's worked with these top designers and these big celebrities, and I could call him now if I wanted to, and he would answer the phone and would have a chat.
Yes. Yeah.
He
He
was
seems that way. When you did the
yeah,
podcast with him, I was like, this guy he's not forgotten where he's from, but he's achieved
yeah.
so much.
When we lost the baby, he was one of the first people to contact us
Yeah.
to extend the sympathies. And he's just such a wonderful, wonderful person, and I'm so glad that I got to do that episode with him, because he, at 16-year-old, when I was doing my GCSEs, he's the person who helped and inspired me more than my art teacher did. He
Yeah.
really believed in what I was doing and helped me, and gave me some really good advice at the time. And he's such a wonderful, wonderful person.
And then that again is a definite reflection on your dad as well, because I just think he's got some amazing people that have been in his life for decades and decades, that are
Yeah,
still in his life and still actively participate in his life, and that is just a testament to who your dad is as a person.
and I think that's how they've brought Beth and Cherry up to be. Is this the whole, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. That is what
Yes.
my family really, really focus on. We can be anything we want to be. We can be anything we put our mind to. So let's be kind.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it is the year anniversary of the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. What has been your biggest highlight for the year?
Oh, you asked some really good questions. Um, I think actually just doing the podcast. First
Yeah.
time I pressed record was so scary. The first time I reached out to someone to say, "Hey, do you want to come on? I've got this idea." Scary as hell. Once I first recorded, I think I actually recorded in May, and I am still saying the official birthday isn't until June, mid-June, because that's when I first released an episode.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest, bravest thing I could have done. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if anybody had listened to it. I didn't think anybody would ever listen. Uh, but I think that's my biggest achievement so far. Is you know what I'm so proud of is getting that podcast out, and the the things that are coming from the podcast. The friendships that I've made and the people I've met, because there is a few people who aren't family and aren't friends that I've managed to get on here. I think Laura is so close. I talk to Laura every single day since the day we
Yeah.
recorded the very first
And I
podcast.
love that. I love that.
She's actually who I bumped into in St. Petersburg today.
No.
Um, so that's great. We have another episode lined up. Jamie, he's been brilliant. Ken Lambert, all these people who keep in contact, and I I never thought that would happen, and it's just it fills my heart with joy that I'm making friendships and being able to get these episodes out. Um, I made the workbooks that go alongside the episodes. That's something that I'm really proud of. Um, I reached out to a actual physical brick and mortar store to stock the books, which we're working on, and hopefully that'll be sometime this year, or at least in the next 12 months, that we'll be able to have books on shelves. And that's something that I never thought would happen. This is just a workbook, but I feel like I've achieved more than I ever thought I would, and it can only go up. It really
Yeah.
can only go up.
So, where do you see the podcast in another year's time? And what goals are you setting yourself for the coming year for both the podcast and yourself personally?
Oof, jeez, what questions?
Yeah, sorry.
um, so I have actually did the bingo card, the 2025 bingo card,
Hmm.
and slowly getting that filled up, which I'm really proud of. I've my my goal was originally to have an episode a week. I think that's just not suitable. I don't think that's what stage I'm at. My goal is to have at least 24 episodes a year consistently. If we have
Yeah.
extra, great. But 24 episodes a year is my target. Um, I don't think I'm in a position right now to do much more than that unless I put myself out there more. And oh, excuse me. Um, really pester people, which I'm not about. I'm not about pestering people. I would rather people come to me sometimes because I just don't like, I get nervous still.
Yeah.
um, but, I don't want to pester too many friends and family to come on. Um, but yeah, I see in the next year, I want to grow. I really do want to grow. I want to be able to have at least a 24 episodes. And I'm hoping by then, I don't know if I've told you about this already. I definitely haven't mentioned it on the podcast, but I'm writing a book.
Oh,
Um,
yes, you have mentioned it to me. Yeah.
yeah. So along with the workbooks are all about anxiety, mental health, and supporting yourself is stuff where you have to physically write in there. The book that I'm writing is all about the episodes. So each of the episodes is going to be a chapter, and you're going to be able to pick up this book. It's a concept that I've only seen once, and I absolutely adore. You're going to be able to pick up this book, and you can go to whichever chapter you want. You don't have to read in order. You can just think, okay, I struggle with sleep. Let me find that sleep episode in a chapter.
Yeah.
I want to know more about the military. Okay, let me find that military chapter. I have fibromyalgia. What was discussed about that? And it's going to have a section in this book about every single episode with details from the guest, from me, help and support groups that I found, anything like that. So it's like a support book,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I love
you
that.
can read it in any order. You don't have to read it all at once. You don't have to read every page. Do what works for you.
Yeah. And I think that just makes it so much more accessible that,
Yeah,
yeah, you might specifically want a couple of topics that you're interested in reading, but it might actually open more doors and opportunities for people to read more that they might not have thought they needed help with, but actually that
yeah.
does make a little bit more sense to them, and I think that's such a great idea.
That's something that's actually happened with the podcast as well. It's like because people don't really they'll listen to one episode that resonates with them, and because they enjoy it, they listen to everything,
Yeah,
which is great. It's really good.
yeah, amazing. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too.
Can
I
I
just
can
have
I be
to.
your first reader?
I'm gonna have to have somebody proofread it, so
Yeah,
But it's one of those things that I already have a full time job. I already do this. I have somebody help me with my social media right now who creates a lot of the images for me, which is such a big help. Um, it's making sure that I'm not sacrificing, like you said before, time with Kyle or
hmm,
family and friends. It's not sacrificing that to be able to do something extra because there's always something more that I want to do. I don't settle if I'm sat still. I'm not happy. I need to
no,
be
no.
doing something.
Yeah, I
So
think we're very similar in that sense, is that we just don't ever stop, do we? So, I get that. I absolutely get that. So, we're down to the nitty-gritty now. We
oof,
asked you
oof,
guys, the viewers, to send in some questions. So we're going to go for that now. Just a quick fire.
oof.
So, first viewer's question. Who is your dream guest, real or character?
Oh, I like that question. I like that a lot. Um, I think I have three.
Okay, I love that.
Okay. It's like that. Who would you have around your dinner table?
Yes.
Um, I would have, without doubt, on top of anybody else in the world, would be my nana,
Yes. Marlene.
because
Yes.
she is the most interesting person. She's the best person in the world. She she would have loved this.
Yes. I feel she'd have been your biggest supporter. She'd have listened to every episode. She would have been recording as many episodes as me and you
Oh
record.
gosh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
She would
absolutely.
be great.
You would have
She would
nailed
be
2 a week out if it was down to
52 a
Marlene.
year, sure.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, I just say her name and I cry, so that
Yeah.
that's great. Um, but yeah, she would have been wonderful. She would have been. She has so many stories, like great life stories, life lessons.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and she's one of those people that everyone just loves. You can't not love her.
No.
So she would be my number one partner in crime guest. She's the best person I could have. Um, and then the other two aren't aren't people that would ever. Sorry, I'm actually crying. This is ridiculous. um, I would have Julie Andrews,
Oh, I love that.
because I feel like her life is just so interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I would sit and talk to her about The Sound of Music for hours on end, and working with Christopher Plummer and um, Mary Poppins, and talk about Dick Van Dyke. And Dick Van Dyke's hilarious. I think it's great. Um, but I would love to sit and talk to Julie Andrews. I think she'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
And my final guest, which, if anyone knows me, would know that this is going to be my guest, would without a doubt be Walt Disney.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. 110%. And I would probably listen to that episode over and over and over again.
I feel like, and I don't mind saying this, I am very much a Disney adult. I don't care that they have a bad rep. I don't care.
No,
Um,
me neither.
I genuinely feel that Disney has made my life a better place. Um, Disney has done so much for my life, and that mouse can take all my money. I don't care. He can have it all.
Give me a
Um,
season pass.
I'm working on that. But Walt Disney's life and what he did and how he started. It all started with a mouse, and now he has an empire. Obviously, it's not here anymore, but I feel like he would be so interesting,
Yeah.
and
No,
that's what I like.
I would be inclined to agree with that.
I like interesting people. I don't do this podcast just to sit and talk nonsense. I know Matthew thinks that's what we do, but you know, I I genuinely like interesting people, and that's why my podcast is for anyone, because every story is interesting to me, and um, that's why I like my
Yeah.
nana, Julie Andrews, and Walt Disney.
I mean, if you've stuck all 3 of those in the room at the same time as well, that'd be like
That'd
one
be
level of
entertaining.
epic, wouldn't it?
Oh,
I think
that'd
Marlene
be
would hold her
something.
own there.
Yeah, yeah, should love it. Should be
She
in the
would.
next
She
should be in
absolutely
the next
would.
Princess Diaries or something.
Yes. So, next viewer question. What is your favourite and least favourite aspect of podcasting?
Um, my favorite is meeting people and learning about their stories, and learning something new. The episode that I did is coming. It won't have been released when I put this out. It's already been recorded, but I did an episode coming up about fibromyalgia, and it's a word I've heard so much but I knew nothing about, and that's something that I enjoy. That's my favorite thing about podcasting, is
Yeah.
meeting people and hearing new stories. Um, my least favorite. Oh, okay. My least favorite is the nerves that I get beforehand. Like, I can record with you every single day, and every single day I'll still be nervous. And I
Yeah.
don't know why, but I'm constantly nervous. Um, other than the nerves, it's the tech issues that I've been having recently. These tech gremlins have been taking over my life, and it's driving me insane. Um, but yeah, the nerves. I didn't realize how much of a nervous person I was until I started recording, and now I'm just a bag of nerves all the time.
So that actually ties in really well with the next viewer question, actually. So, what do you do to calm your nerves before you record, especially when it's a guest you don't know?
I'm sorry, I heard a sneezing fit.
It's okay.
What do I do to calm my nerves when it's a guest I don't know? Okay. Um, okay, so first things first. When I record, I have a routine. And if I don't do this routine, something is going to go wrong. Which I found again, the fibromyalgia episode, something goes wrong, and it's very obvious what went wrong. And I'm telling you, it's because I didn't do my routine. So, um, it's ridiculous.
I love that.
My routine every time I text the person in the morning, "Hey, we're still on for today," just to make sure they haven't forgot, just in case. You never
Just in
know,
case.
just in case. And then I have a shower. And I stand in that shower for 10, 15 minutes longer than I should. And anyone knows who knows me knows I like a long shower.
Yes.
But I will stand in that shower for at least 10 minutes extra and just practice and practice and practice my opening line, my welcome to this week's episode of. And every single time I get it wrong, every single time we record, I have to do it again. But I have to practice it in the shower. Um, I'll then usually, I'll have a massive drinks around me just in case, I drink a full glass. I'm never going to drink more than this much water.
Yeah.
But, I have all my drinks around me and I have to be settled. I, I tell Kyle 10 times what the episode's about, what I'm doing, what time I'm recording. I still get the times wrong when I tell him because, again, I'm nervous. So I have to get this routine. And if I don't do this routine, then something goes wrong. It's
I
usually a
can
lightning
totally.
storm.
Well, like today.
Yeah, yeah.
So, next viewer question. What is the most unexpected thing that's happened because of the podcast?
Oh, oh, oh. Do you know? I think there's a couple. I think one of them is the amount of people that have got in contact and said, "Hey, I listened to your episode, and this is what it made me feel." That's
Yeah.
unexpected. I love it. I absolutely love that. I love feedback. I don't really like negative feedback, but luckily I don't get too much negative right now. Um, but I love feedback. And the other thing, it'd be how open people are. Like I never expected people to be as open and vulnerable as they are, um, which I guess is due to how comfortable they are
Yeah.
talking to me.
Yeah. I
Um,
think that reflects on you massively that you do make
yeah,
people feel comfortable enough to bear everything, essentially.
like the episode with Tom. Um, I don't think I've really mentioned Tom much today, but his episode is one of my favorites.
And mine.
And
And mine.
yeah, and I didn't. So Tom is my now brother-in-law, I guess. I think is the best way to without overcomplicating it. Is Kelsey, who's my sister-in-law, is it's her husband, and I didn't really know Tom very well before recording. I'd kind of met him over video chat a couple of times when we'd done family events, but other than that, I didn't really know him. And how vulnerable and open he was, it was just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It wonderful is a really strange word, or you know, it's like when you go to see a movie that's quite sad and you're like, it's one of the best movies, but it shouldn't be because it's a sad, depressing subject.
Yeah.
But how open he was and how willing to talk to me, even though, you could kind of tell in places he wasn't overly comfortable,
Yeah.
but he was happy to talk about it. That that's what I
And it
really
just,
found
I mean,
surprising.
I loved that episode so much, and I've told you that a few times, and I think just because unless you have been there and been in that situation, you could never truly understand. And him just having that one conversation with you and, expressing how he has seen the world, it just gives so many more people the opportunity to listen and understand something that they would never understand. And no one, I don't think anyone can fully understand unless you've been there,
No,
been in that person's shoes.
no.
But I think it opens people's eyes up more to what it is like being in the military. And I
And
think
Tom's
it's a
episode as
brave
well
thing.
was, yeah, Tom's episode was all about PTSD, and
Yeah.
I think it shows as well that PTSD can be so many forms.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I had a form of PTSD when my nana died. I had
Yeah.
a form of PTSD when we lost the baby.
Yeah.
Um, Tom's form of PTSD was so different to mine,
Yes. Yeah.
but it isn't any like neither of them are less deserving to be
No.
classed as PTSD. And people always think, oh, PTSD is only when a bomb's gone off next to you or something.
Yeah.
That's not always the
No.
case.
No.
And
No.
that's what we're really trying to get out there is that there's so many forms of these
Yeah.
different things. And it's okay that it is labeled because
Yeah.
it's all deserving of that label.
Absolutely, and a similar situation to yourself. I've had grief-associated PTSD, and I think it wasn't until somebody actually said, "This is what it is," that I actually fully comprehended what it meant. Because again, the only people I associate PTSD with is people that have lived in war zones and been through huge trauma and, you know, all of that comes along with it. And you don't actually fully comprehend that it can be associated with anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
But
think
yeah, no,
that's
I
what's
agree. I loved Tom's episode.
oh, between us, obviously this isn't between us, but you know what I mean. To Tom may be coming back soon.
Ooh,
Yes.
exciting. Love
Yes.
that. Love that.
So we're just getting schedules to line and Tom will be back.
So on to some juicy questions now. And we know
Uh-oh.
who these are from. Do you think you'll ever move back to the UK full time?
Is this
And
from
I'll
my
give you
dad?
two guesses.
Is this from my dad?
It is from your dad.
So this episode is all about my dad.
All about Mick Walker.
No, I don't think I will. Um, and that's not saying that I don't love England or Doncaster. I just I feel like a happier person here. Kyle's life is here as well, and we was genuinely talking about this yesterday. I was in a really bad mood yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, let's just move back to England," um, because of some things that are going off over here right now. Um, and I was like, "Let's just move. Let's just go back to England," like as if Kyle's ever lived there. He hasn't. Um, and I said to him, "Do you know what? No, I couldn't do it. I just, you know, firstly, the cost that it was for immigration to be
Yeah,
here
true.
is crazy. Like, I'm not even going to disclose how much we had to pay for 'em, and still paying for immigration is crazy. But Kyle's whole life is here. His community of friends are all in this time zone, and it's easier for me to pick up and move than it is for him to pick up and move. Um, you know, he has more commitments here than I had back in England. So I just don't think, and I just don't think I want to.
No, I don't think I'd
Unless
forgive you if you
Kyle,
did. Because I just think
unless,
that you've become just somebody, not that you weren't amazing before, but I just think that you've just blossomed into a better version of you.
thanks. Oh, somebody referred to me as fun this week. I've never been referred to as fun. I'm like, What are you talking about? That's not me. I'm not fun. I was somewhat offended that they thought I was fun. I've never been referred to as fun, but it's fine. No, I don't think I would. Like, where are you all going to go on vacation if I don't live in America? Where are you all going to go?
Well, this is
You know,
also very true. Very true.
you've always got, somewhere to come and stay if I stay in America, even though we're not going to be in Florida for forever. There's always somewhere to stay.
Yeah. So, the next daddy question.
Uh-oh.
I love him so much. Mick, this is just the best question I've ever had. Do you miss friends and family more or less than you imagined?
So
Don't kill him, Joe.
I knew that my dad was sending questions in. I knew he was. And he told me that I had to be completely honest when I answer questions. So I guess I should be completely honest when I answer this
Yes.
question. No, I don't miss friends and family as much as I thought I would. I could sit here and say I miss them more than I thought I would, but I don't. And this isn't in any disrespect to anybody. It's really not. Um, I miss my mum and dad, and I miss and Cherry and Craig. I miss immensely. I'd already got used to the idea of not seeing Beth, with her
Yeah.
being Beth and Ryan, with them being in Australia. Um, I can't necessarily miss the kids because I never met them before I moved.
Yeah.
I've only physically been in their presence for that 2 weeks when we came over.
Yeah.
So I can't really miss the kid. I feel like I miss out on what's happening with the family, but that was my choice. And I have to, I can't be mad at anyone for me missing out because I
No,
chose to
no.
move away. So yeah, I do miss my mum and dad and Cherry and Craig. Like I said, I'd already got used to the idea of not seeing Beth because she'd lived in Australia for a few years before I moved. Um, but everyone else, I don't really think I do. Like I have enough time talking to you. I
Yeah.
talk to you
Yeah.
most weeks, so in the nicest respect, I don't really miss you in that kind of way because we still keep in contact a lot.
Yeah, and I think we sort of we've already been in this situation before when you've moved to different areas of the UK, and I think we have sort of always made that work. And I
Yeah,
don't see that you moving to America has really made any difference in that sense because we still
no,
communicate in the same way that we always have, regardless of whether
yeah,
we were
and don't
down
get
the
me
down
wrong,
the road or at the other side of the world.
yeah, don't get me wrong, I do miss. I would enjoy more going out and grabbing coffee and stuff with
Yeah,
you rather than
yeah,
just doing this. But at the same time, this works.
yeah,
Um, and we do talk outside the podcast as well. Our life and relationship doesn't
yeah,
just revolve around the podcast. But other than that, I don't think that anyone else that I don't see is affecting my life in the
yeah.
nicest respect that I could
No,
possibly
no,
say.
I totally get it. I
Um,
totally get it.
I very much feel, and if I offend anyone, I'm sorry, but I am. This is how I feel. Um, if people want to make the effort, they know my number. If
Yes.
people want to visit, they're welcome to any time. I will let everyone know as and when I'm coming back to the country for a vacation or holiday. They're welcome to come and see me. Um, However, I I I realized how important I am to people when I moved here.
Yeah,
The people who make an effort. The people who don't, they don't know what I'm doing anymore,
yeah.
and that's fine. I can live with that because I'm happy.
And I think that's the most important thing, really, isn't it? It's really important.
Yeah,
So well done, Mick. Great question. Loved that.
actually
Love
got an answer. But yeah,
that.
I will forever miss my mum and dad and Cherry. Um, but no, I don't really miss anybody else.
Yeah. So on to some fun, more light-hearted questions now. Not from your
Oh,
dad.
good.
So, if you were on a desert island and could only take three things, and they're not human things, what three things would you choose?
um, I don't know how practical the things are that I would take. The cat.
Love that. Pearl gets a mention. I can
She's
see her.
asleep.
Yeah, behind you.
She's asleep behind me. And try not to move too far because I have cans of beer all over the table ready for tonight's film viewing. Okay, so I'd take the cat because she is my little shadow, and I don't know what I'd do without her. She's my biggest fan. Um, what else would I take? Sun cream because I don't want cancer, and um, I don't know, a radio because I can't read a
Ah,
book over and over again. Maybe a
yeah.
radio.
The radio is a good idea. I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I would not have thought of that, but that's actually really a good idea.
Well, then I can, if I take a radio, I can hear what's going on in the baseball and the football, proper football, not soccer, proper football. I can't say the S word. I hate that. I could listen to the radio whenever I want. I could probably listen to Eurovision. I probably miss Eurovision more than I miss some people because I don't get it over here. So going back to what I miss most, probably Eurovision. But yeah, there'd be my three things: the cat, sun cream, and the radio.
Okay. Now, last but not least, who would you want to play you in a movie about your life?
Um, who sent you that question?
Natalie.
Oh, jeez.
Stumped a Nat. Well done.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think what actresses I like that aren't too old or too young because I'm at that age now where um who played the Queen in The Crown, the first season? Was
Oh,
it Claire
oh,
Foy?
yes, yes, I think it was, yes.
Maybe her. Or what's her name? Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh my God, yes,
Yes, that would be it. Helena
yes.
Bonham Carter. She's wonderful.
She is
She's
so
so
fun
funny.
and quirky. I love her.
Yeah.
Absolutely love her in everything that she's
And
played.
yeah, and I think that I'm probably a little bit plain Jane for that, but she's great at everything, so she'd be able to make it. Maybe she would make
Sh
me fun.
You are fun. I don't know why you think you're not fun. You are fun.
I'm really not.
Yes, you are. Oh dear.
Yeah, okay, that's my answer. Helena Bonham Carter
Love that.
because she's
Absolutely
great.
love that. Do you want to do the quick fire questions or shall we just do a closing statement?
Whatever you want,
I don't mind.
we can do them.
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Let's do this. Let me pull them back up. Okay, so we're going to do a quick UK versus USA now, just to round it up, to celebrate the
Okay.
fact that you are over there, but you are also very much part of us still. So, weather. I think that resonates very much so today. UK versus USA weather.
Well, you've been to a barbecue today, and I got caught in a thunderstorm. So right now it's summer. It is 100 degrees and it's humid as hell. It's sticky, it's gross, it's thunderstorms every single day, but I love it. I love listening to the rain. I wish I was in a conservatory. Um, but I do miss seasons.
Yeah.
So if you say the Florida weather or the English weather, I'd have to say English weather
Okay. Well, I was
because
not expecting that. I was not.
Florida is either hot, hot, or hotter.
Yeah, I
So I
suppose. If
am
you were going
without a
to other
doubt the palest
places,
person.
If you were living
Mhm.
somewhere else that had more seasonal breaks rather
Yes.
than just solid hot and sweaty or hurricane, then maybe you
So
probably feel differently.
where we are actually looking to move. We should be moving in the next couple of years. And where we're looking to move to has seasons. And that is because I miss seasons. So um it will be like being back in England to an extent. It is more
Yeah,
extreme season, so when it's hot, and when it's snowing, it's going to be like 6 foot of snow. But
yeah.
it's
I take
definite
that though. I take
seasons.
that. I love seasons.
Yeah,
I feel exactly the same.
I forever will miss seasons. I love the snow. I love the cold. I like being snuggled up. I don't leave the apartment very much because it's too hot to do anything. We're
Yeah.
not beach people. So
Yeah, I get
we're only
that.
in Florida for the theme parks.
Okay, next. Driving, UK or USA?
UK.
Okay.
Again, because of where I live. So in Florida, it's full of old people, like outnumbered old
God's
people.
God's
So
waiting room.
yeah. So imagine driving in London, but the only people driving are old.
Oh no.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No.
So it's scary. It's really scary. Um, but it's fine. It's okay. I'm getting there now. It's just I don't let these quick fire questions be quick fire, do I? I'm sorry.
No. It's okay
Um,
though. I
when
love you for
I
that.
when I first started driving over here, I rung my dad, or I can't remember if I texted him or rung him, but I was like almost in tears because I just kept drifting. And I'm like, Dad, I'm never going to get it. The drive on the wrong side of the road, and I keep going into the other lane. And it's like, look, you were driving over there in England for like 20 plus years. Your brain is programmed to do one thing. So you've got to reprogram your brain. And that was so difficult. Now I'm okay. I'm not too
Yeah.
bad. I don't do the long drives. Kyle does those, but I can drive over to Orlando and it be okay
I mean, to
and
be
things.
honest, I out of all of the places that I've driven in the world that's not the UK, I actually prefer America.
Oh
But I
no.
think that's because I've drove in places like Turkey and Spain and Italy, and it's like a game of
Italy's a
Mario Kart.
nightmare.
Italy is
Oh, Italy's
horrendous.
awful. Jeez. When we went to
I have
Rome, I thought I was gonna die.
never been more terrified in my entire life driving from Milan to Lake Como. I honestly swear to God, I needed a week to recover from that. Like
Yeah.
the anxiety of driving down those mountains with coaches
Yeah.
millimeters away from you, and because you're on that side of the road, no, no,
Do you know
never
what though? I
again.
will say, when we came over to England, Kyle and I drove to Wales. We went to Wales for 2 days. And he was petrified because the roads are so narrow. And I was
Yes,
fine. I was loving
yeah,
it. And I was like, do you know what? I'm in my element. Okay, I might fall off a cliff, but I'm in my lane. I know what I'm doing. And he was petrified because like one side there's a brick wall and the next side is a cliff. I'm
yeah.
like, this is fine. I can do this.
That's me and Emma
But
driving in Cornwall, like literally every single time. I'm Kyle, Emma's you. Like, I
yeah,
hate Emma
I'm like, this
driving
is
when we're in
great. I
Cornwall.
can do this. But yeah, when we went to Wales, he was not too happy. He's a bit scared.
So, shopping,
What kind of
UK or
shopping?
USA? Oh, let's go for clothes.
I have been clothes shopping so I moved here in 2021. So since then I have been physically clothes shopping 3 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a lot of my clothes are still from England that are in good quality. Um or I'll buy it from Amazon.
Yeah, okay,
I
I get that. Yeah.
I
I
don't
suppose the
really go far.
accessibility of online shopping as well is probably bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know what? I did do a big Boohoo order. Was it Boohoo or In the Style? One of them, because they deliver here. Marks and Spencers deliver here from the
Oh my
UK.
God.
So I've done a couple of big UK hauls, I guess. I don't really shop at Target anymore. Political reasons, I guess. So I don't really shop at Target. You know, I guess just they have some very nice clothes over here. Very, very nice clothes. And did I tell you they have a Primark over here now?
No, they do not, surely.
There's a new Primark opened in Orlando, and it wasn't great. It wasn't as good as ours. Nothing
Hmm.
can beat the Meadowhall Primark, but it's still okay. It's quite good.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's okay.
last but not least, UK versus USA, food.
Oh, so this morning we went for breakfast, because what we actually went to St. Pete's for was a not a good idea. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Um, and for breakfast on the way home, I had a they call it a breakfast Wellington, and it's basically like a beef Wellington, but for breakfast, and it has like breakfast sausage and chorizo and breakfast potatoes and everything like that
Oh
wrapped in
my
pastry.
God, that sounds
And this
to
is
die
why
for.
I I put on 40 pounds since I came here. I am in the process of losing it, so it's okay. But the food over here is just so rich, and the portion sizes are huge, and it's crazy. Um, I think I'll forever crave Miller and Carter because it's one of
Yes.
my favorite. And I
The
always
Doncaster one's
miss.
closed for refurbishment at the moment. It's really depressing. You've got to drive to
Oh, it is
Sheffield.
depressing.
I know.
Ugh. Or just going to the Maple Tree for a pub lunch.
Yes.
Can't say no to that.
Sweet chili
Um,
chicken dippers.
yeah, yeah. But the food over here is so good, and there's so much variety, and there's a take out on every corner. I call it a takeaway, and Cal's like, "Yeah, but you're not going in to take it away." When you order delivery.
Yeah, I suppose that the word takeaway does come from the fact that we always used to walk to the local Chinese or walk to the local chippy or walk to the
Yeah,
local Indian and take it away, whereas now it's delivery.
yeah. I do miss like Nur.
Yes.
There's somewhere close around here that is almost as a good of a curry as Nur was, but that was great. I haven't found anywhere that do fish and chips as good as over there. Um, what else do I miss from over there? They might be oh yeah, the Chinese food over here is not the same either. But you know, the food's
Swings and
okay.
roundabouts. Swings and
Yeah,
roundabouts. I
I
bet you
can't
get
have
a bigger
everything.
selection.
So from where I am, um, within 10 minutes, we have Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Chili's. There's another one. Dairy Queen, KFC. That's seven within ten
Yeah,
minutes of where I am.
that's crazy. That's
So
absolutely crazy.
yeah, and that's just like drive-throughs. That's not even, like there's Italian, there's seafood because we were on the coast. There's so much variety close by. The pizza places, there's like six within a 10-minute radius.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I've craving pizza today, and I've been
no,
so
I
good and not had
just don't want
pizza.
any food right now. So stuffed.
Not surprised after
Yeah.
your breakfast burrito.
Well, I didn't. Do you know what? I didn't even eat it all. Over half of it is in the fridge still. We're gonna probably have it for dinner between us because there's so much.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So portion sizes are ridiculous over here.
Okay.
So I don't know which I prefer. They're both good for different reasons.
Yeah, I think it probably for like your health over here. Maybe
I
for
did
selection and
introduce
variety.
yeah, I did introduce Kyle's dads and stepmom to Yorkshire puddings.
I love that.
Yeah, and they thought they were really good. So, you know, keeping the Yorkshire puddings alive over here.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
So,
You cannot beat a
yeah.
Yorkshire pudding. In fact, Kirsty, I went up to Kirsty's earlier today and she had bubble and squeak with Yorkshire pudding and gravy for her lunch.
Nice.
I know.
Nice.
So
Sounds
leftover
good.
from my mum's cooking.
I do miss my mum and dad's cooking, but you've got to be an adult sometimes, I guess, and
I
treat
know,
yourself.
I know, I know. That's it. I just get Matt to cook for me now because he's a good cook. So, although I will hold my hands up and say I do like to cook myself, and I'm not bad. Well, that's it then. That rounds it up for our
Wow,
anniversary Ask the Host show.
thanks. Well, that was fun.
I feel like I wasn't as hard on you as I could have been.
Yeah, I was expecting a little bit worse. I'm not gonna lie. I I did think it might be a little bit worse. What's your favorite episode?
Ooh, that is a tough one. That is a tough one. I've got so many. I think um is it Francesca, the girl who moved to New Zealand?
Yes.
I loved that one. I
Yeah, that
mean,
was great.
you know I rave about Tom all day long. I love Tom's
Yeah.
episode. Um,
I
but
also really enjoyed Craig's. Cherry
yes,
and Craig.
that is what I
Cherry
was going to say. So actually, if I had to pick Cherry and Craig's alternate view on the same adoption process, that to me was Chef's Kiss. Like Cherry and Craig came across so differently, and they saw it from such different perspectives, and I just don't think you ever get to see that. And
No.
the fact that they were both so open and honest, and they explored the same process with the same child in the same marriage in the same home with the same people, but yeah, it was so different, and their experiences were so different but the same. Like I just loved that. So I'm nailing it down with Cherry and Craig.
Yeah, I think that's some of the best. Really, I really do. They were great. And do you know, Cherry never wanted to be on the podcast.
No.
She really didn't. I was going through a hard time um, with somebody saying that my podcast was only for girls and it didn't relate to men in the slightest. Um, and I was quite upset. And Cherry was like, "Well, Craig will come on." Craig had
Yeah,
no say in it. Craig will come on.
Craig just did what he was
And
told to do.
yeah, and he did. Craig came on and he was great. And I think that because Craig was so comfortable, Cherry was like, "Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine."
yeah,
So I'm very, very um you've made me lose all my words today. I'm very grateful for every
yeah.
single person, who has come on the podcast, who has listened to the podcast, who still talk and help me promote the podcast. It's more than I could have ever thought of.
I just think that you've done such an amazing thing, and I just want to say just how proud I am, and we all are, of everything that you've achieved. And you've achieved more than you probably could have ever dreamed in this last 12
Yeah.
months, and I'm super excited to see what's coming
What's
next.
next? Well, we do have, when I say we, I don't just mean me. I genuinely mean me and Kyle. Kyle has a big say in what I do on the podcast, what I talk about. I don't have to let him do anything, but I'd let him have a huge say and opinion on
Mm,
things because, he's locked in the room. He's literally locked in this room right here. He cannot come out. And for him to willingly be locked in a room for me for, sometimes 2-3 hours while I'm recording, he can have whatever say he wants in my podcast. And
absolutely agree.
you know he is great at support, and if I give him an idea and he doesn't think it will work, I won't do it because his opinion matters to me, and he gives me ideas as well, which is great. It's brilliant. So forever
That's what you
grateful for
need.
every single person.
That's what you
So
need. You
on
need
that
your husband to
note,
be your cheerleader. I love that.
yeah, he is great. So on that note, I will thank anyone who's still listening. I know it's a lot longer episode than usual, so thank you if you're still here. If you're not, you've missed out. Um, and until next time, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.